If you've ever felt like someone was against everything you said or did solely to attack you, there's a story about fireflies being pursued. The firefly flew for a long time, attempting to escape, until he reached a dead end, nearly being caught. He asked the snake 3 questions, and the snake, knowing he was already trapped and had no way out, agreed that he was part of what he normally ate. The firefly then asked if the snake had any grudge against him, to which the snake replied, "No." When the firefly asked why the snake wanted to catch him, he replied that he couldn't tolerate seeing the firefly glow. No matter what you do in life or how successful you are in your career, recognize that there will always be individuals who oppose you. We've all encountered such people, whether it's a hostile colleague at work, a jealous friend, or even a family member. Embracing the practical philosophy of Stoicism will teach you how to deal with jealous individuals and approach conflicts. Stoicism is considered one of the most practical and profound philosophies, teaching us to focus on the energy and power in things we can control. While we learn to accept situations beyond our control, unless you learn to assert yourself in life, you will be trampled by others, including those who don't have your best interests at heart. So, resilience doesn't mean being passive and silently nursing resentment. Instead, it means taking a firm stand and controlling your emotions before acting. First and foremost, accept our greetings and feel at home learning age-old concepts that guide us to live with greater wisdom and ease. In order for this video to reach you, another person subscribed to our channel, liked it, and left a comment. So, do the same, and in doing so, you help us bring this clarity of mind to many others. Now you know exactly how Stoicism can help you overcome challenges without conflict. In this video, we'll discuss 9 ways to do just that. So let's start with the first: intentionally ignore. There's no representation without viewership, and being ignored can be one of the worst feelings. So, use this to your advantage if possible. Begin intentionally ignoring those who declare themselves your enemies or whom you simply don't like. Though this strategy is simple, it requires a great deal of self-control because you consciously choose not to pay attention to provocations, malicious jokes, actions, or even the presence of a person. Understand that some people derive satisfaction from causing emotional unrest, and when you start ignoring them, you automatically deprive them of this power. Let the message sink in that they have no influence over your emotions or decisions, so their attempts to influence you remain just that, attempts. Be human and focus on what's under your control. Instead of allowing your energy to be drained by negative distractions or spending hours dwelling on potential responses, revenge scenarios, or moral high ground, start using this time and space for what truly matters. The extent to which those who provoke you have power and relevance in your life is entirely up to you. You can choose not to feel victimized, and instead of succumbing to provocations, choose wisdom and non-engagement. This decision also shields us from the detrimental effects of resentment and anger, allowing us to cultivate resilience and a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Conflicts don't just exist. You choose not to be ensnared in an unpleasant situation created by another person. By following this path, we become the architects of our own destiny. Under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi, Indians chose the path of peaceful protests, eschewing violence. Gandhi organized peaceful protest marches and urged people not to buy British goods such as salt, flouting the rules that allowed salt purchase only from the British. These actions garnered global attention, weakened British control over the Indian economy, and influenced their eventual exit from India. Finally, in 1947, India achieved independence. Gandhi's approach was strategic. He contemplated the situation comprehensively, identifying the weaknesses of the British and devising peaceful means to leverage them. By refraining from physical confrontation, he avoided revealing India's military inadequacies and minimized casualties. Instead, he transformed his people's weaknesses into strengths and utilized the power of non-violent resistance. Turn your opponents into teachers. One of the concepts of Stoic philosophy is transforming adversity into a path to enlightenment. Rather than viewing adversaries or enemies solely with hostility, begin seeing them as opportunities for growth and learning, truly as teachers on the journey of life. They test our boundaries, reveal our weaknesses, expose our vices, and highlight areas for improvement. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the Roman Empire, "When you are distressed by an external thing, it's not the thing itself that troubles you, but only your judgment of it, and you can wipe this out at a moment's notice." Furthermore, Marcus Aurelius teaches us that when we are tempted to criticize someone, we should first reflect on our own faults and ask ourselves, which of my mistakes is most similar to the one I'm about to criticize? We sometimes expect others to do things that we are incapable of doing. This type of thinking fosters humility and empathy, as well as an understanding and appreciation for the lessons that our opponents may teach us. Instead of retaining bad emotions or seeking vengeance on your opponents, be thankful for possibilities for growth that you would not have had otherwise. Transform your perception of these people from threats to possibilities for personal development and self-discovery. Consider what would happen if the protagonist did not face all of the conflicts and challenges. They would simply be an everyday individual who no one would remember. Their enemies are to blame for their legendary status. This significantly changes the dynamic of your relationship with these folks. They may continue to detest you, but you no longer consider yourself essential, and you stop devoting time and energy to them. Recognize that your enemy is not the source of your pain. The person you regard as your opponent or enemy, or with whom you have a conflict. It stems from how you interpret and perceive every event in your life. It is not that person's acts that make you angry or resentful. It is how you perceive and react that determines your emotions. It's the person, whoever they are, who helps you see what's going on inside of you. They show you where you're thinking incorrectly or behaving emotionally inappropriately. Your adversary is allowing you to understand where you are placing too many expectations or pressure on something you shouldn't. Epictetus, who taught something very simple but powerful, said, "It is not the events around us that make us upset, but our judgments about them." He challenges the notion that external events have the power to disrupt our inner worlds. Rather, it is how we interpret these events that shape our emotional response. Even when something horrible happens, how we react to it helps us understand how our perceptions and interpretations influence our emotional states. Epictetus believed that we had the ability to choose how we react to situations, and that such decisions could have a significant impact. When you realize that what bothers you is not the person or situation itself, but your perception of it, you can adjust your attitude and gain better resilience. Furthermore, this necessitates a profound shift in perspective. Stop blaming the outside world and accept responsibility for your perceptions and emotional responses. Instead of blaming others or fostering resentments, we might start by asking ourselves questions like, why did this hurt me so much? Why did what someone said hurt me so much? Anger or destroy me? Why did that person's actions flood me with resentment? Seeing your opponents as a mirror reflecting aspects of yourself that may deserve attention, investigate how you feel and why this occurred. Changing your perspective on these people allows you to modify how you interact with them while also better understanding yourself. This wisdom changes your perspective on the situation. You begin to think differently when you realize that your judgment is the key to your emotional state. That is its significance. Your judgment is the key to your emotional condition. Instead of reacting automatically, you can build a more balanced mind and the ability to respond rationally and thoughtfully. Furthermore, this paradigm change adds ease and delight to your life. It can help you grow and evolve as a person, since you know your power and courage are not dependent on others, and you are no longer bound by their moods or regard. Opening the door to enormous personal development opportunities. Fifth, choose forgiveness. Forgiveness is a beautiful deed. It is similar to an exchange of complaints and wants, and it allows you to find peace inside yourself. Forgiving someone does not imply that you must walk by the person who injured you or welcome them to reside in your home. It is a choice to be free of any wrath, bitterness, or grudges. Forgiveness has nothing to do with who injured you. It is about not suppressing negative emotions. It is not a show of weakness, but rather of power and dignity. By forgiving, you demonstrate that you are in charge of your emotions and can shape your own destiny. It is a growth in consciousness that includes accepting the fact that something happened, whether or not you understand why. When you say goodbye to pride, you lock yourself off from the world and establish obstacles that make reconciliation difficult. Forgiveness is a compassionate response to wickedness. Epictetus described the significance of forgiveness. It is preferable to vengeance since it shows love. While revenge symbolizes animal nature, wisdom emphasizes the power of forgiveness to transform lives through compassion and understanding. When we think about a place, we merely respond, letting others dictate our actions. We remain, so to speak, captives of the situation, constantly acting as victims. However, forgiving allows you to be free and regain control of yourself. Transform your relationship with your adversaries by acting with kindness, empathy, and compassion to effect good change in the environment and people's behavior. This fresh perspective on challenges pushes us to promote goodwill even toward those who seek to hurt us. By demonstrating such generosity and kindness, we rise above pointless debates and conflicts. We demonstrate that we are not only part of the problem, but also an important part of the solution. Seventh, glance into their eyes. The seventh technique for resolving difficulties without conflict is to confront the issue directly. I appreciate Dr. M.T.T. Murdoch's statement. Not to flatten, I didn't, and I want you to stop addressing me in this way. This is a confrontation. This is not about physical force, but about demonstrating that you are aware and will not tolerate certain behavioral patterns. Of course, every circumstance is unique. If this is your employer, for example, your approach should be different. Clashing is not the same as quarreling. Colliding entails the ability to assert your position. If you do not assert yourself, others may take sides. This does not require you to participate in the battle. When you demonstrate that you will not accept disrespectful behavior, most people get the subtext, and the situation does not progress beyond the conversation. If you retaliate once, others will use it against you repeatedly. As a result, it is critical to be prepared to protect your interests when necessary while remaining self-centered and avoiding unnecessary conflict. Think about it. Every minute you spend thinking about who offended you or how things could have turned out differently is one fewer minute for you. Sometimes we hope that the person who offended us will regret it and alter their mind. However, in the ship's depths, each individual demonstrates our importance. Recognition must come from within. Nobody will ever do it for you. Focusing on yourself entails accepting this duty and putting aside concerns for the opinions and acknowledgement of others, particularly those who dislike you. It reminds us that we have the ability to choose how we respond to every event, allowing us to make educated decisions that reflect our values. Following these principles, we go on a road of self-discovery, overcoming ignorance, forgiving, and growing in love. We remove the obstacles that keep us from reaching the qualities of wisdom and happiness. The ninth strategy is to restrain oneself. You are in control of your emotions. When someone hits you, it is because you allowed it to happen. Nobody has the authority to disturb your serenity or take away your slumber. You smile, knowing that you have complete control. Nobody can damage you unless you allow it, since you have control over your emotions. It's difficult to cohabit with someone who wants to damage you for no reason. However, remember that such people, like the snake at the start of the video, cannot bear seeing the light in others, so it does not matter how many enemies you have. What matters is how many people you don't consider enemies and aren't angry with. What matters is not what others think of you, but how you perceive yourself. No matter how much they attempt to make your life miserable, how you treat others is more important than how much they dislike you. Others' terrible desires are unimportant. What matters is how you feel about them. You have the ability to change your life, including how much you are influenced by your adversaries. As Marcus Aurelius says in his Meditations, "Choose not to be harmed, and you will not feel harmed. Choose not to feel harmed, and you will not be." If you have read this far, please leave a comment. Thanks. In this manner, you are confirming your desire to make positive changes. Thank you for being here again.